Hey everyone, welcome back. I want to take you to a stretch of Highway 41 at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, the night I pulled over a reckless driver, walked up to that window with my heart in my throat, and had a young man spit directly into my face before calling me a monster and an oppressor. I stood there in the gravel and the dark, the red and blue lights strobing against the trees, wiping warm spit off my cheek. My hand was on my duty weapon, my adrenaline was redlining, and in that split second, I had to decide what kind of man and what kind of officer I was going to be for the rest of my life. Today, we're talking about what happens when your calling feels like a curse. We're talking about the weight of protecting people who despise you, and how one single verse in Romans reminded me why I took an oath in the first place. I'd been a police officer for 7 years. For me, this wasn't just a career, it was the family business. My grandfather walked a beat in the 60s, my uncle was a detective. I grew up believing that the thin blue line was a sacred thing, a service to justice and a shield for the innocent. But by year 7, the job had started to erode my soul. It wasn't the danger I minded. I could handle the high-speed chases and the dark alleys. It was the relentless, grinding hostility. The cultural climate had shifted. Suddenly, every traffic stop was a political confrontation. Every interaction was a potential viral video. I'd show up to domestic violence calls to save someone, and within minutes, both parties would stop fighting each other and start screaming at me. I'd respond to a home invasion, and instead of a thank you, I'd get a lecture on response time. My own neighbors, people I'd grilled burgers with, stopped making eye contact. Then came the morning I walked out to my driveway and saw the word pig keyed into the door of my personal truck. I started putting on my bulletproof vest every afternoon, and it felt like it weighed 500 pounds, not because of the ceramic plates, but because of the bitterness. The night it all came to a head was humid and heavy. Dispatch called about a silver sedan doing 90 in a 35, weeding through lanes, nearly taking out a delivery van. The chase lasted just long enough for my heart to start hammering against my ribs before he jerked into a gas station parking lot. I approached with my flashlight high. "License and registration, sir," I said, keeping my voice professional. The driver was barely 24. He didn't reach for his wallet. He just exploded. "Are you kidding me? You're just bored, aren't you? Looking for a black man to harass? You cops are all the same. You're just looking for a reason to kill someone." I felt that familiar heat rise in my chest. "Sir, you were doing merely triple the speed limit and ran 2 reds. I need your ID." "I know my rights. I'm recording this." He thrust his phone inches from my face. And that's when it happened. He leaned out the window and spit. It landed on my cheek, near my eye. He followed it with a string of hateful names, telling me he didn't deserve to breathe the same air as him. In that moment, everything I had suppressed for years boiled over. I wanted to drag him out of that car. I wanted to show him exactly who had the power. My training said de-escalate, but my ego said retaliate. I stood there, spit dripping, hands shaking. I was done. My backup, an old-timer named Martinez, pulled in behind me. He saw my face, saw the spit, and put a hand on my shoulder. "Go to the cruiser," he whispered. "I've got this." I sat in the driver's seat of my patrol car, staring at the dash. I felt small. I felt disgusted. I pulled out my phone and opened a Bible app. A verse I hadn't thought about since the academy jumped off the screen. Romans 13:4. "For the one in authority is God's servant for your good." I read it over and over. God's servant. It hit me like a physical blow. My authority didn't come from the city council or the police chief. It was delegated from the creator of the universe. I realized 3 things in that quiet patrol car. My audience is God, not the public. I am called to serve for their good, even the ones who hate me. And restraint is a form of worship. I wiped my face with a sanitizing wipe, took a deep breath, and walked back to that silver sedan. The driver looked terrified now. "Sir," I said, my voice steady, "I'm giving you a citation for reckless driving, if a heavy fine and a mandatory court date. What you did tonight, the spitting, the names, was wrong. It was dehumanizing. But my job isn't to punish you for how you feel about me. My job is to make sure you don't kill a family of 4 on your way home. Drive safe." I handed him the paper and walked away. I didn't need his apology. I had my purpose back. A few months later, I was first on scene of a convenience store robbery. An elderly woman had been pistol whipped. I chased the suspect 3 blocks, tackled him, and secured the weapon. As I walked the woman to the ambulance, she gripped my arm with shaking hands and whispered, "Thank you, officer. I thought I was dead." If I had quit that night on the highway, if I had let that young man's spit turn me into the monster he claimed I was, I wouldn't have been there for her. To every officer, every first responder, and every person standing in a thankless gap, you are God's servant for good. Your badge, your position, your authority, it is a stewardship. Don't let the world's bitterness corrupt your integrity. He sees every act of restraint. He sees every lonely shift. He sees the sacrifice.
Thanks for watching. Here are today's reflection questions. Have you ever had a moment where your calling felt like a curse, where doing the right thing made you the villain? How did you push through? Who are you serving when the world seems against you? Public opinion or a higher purpose? What reminds you of your why when it gets hard? Drop your thoughts about the story in the comments below. Your experience might encourage someone else facing the same choice. If this resonated with you, hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe.